So yesterday was the D23 Expo, and the Once Upon a Time cast and crew got their own panel. And at the panel, they revealed that Dania Ramirez is going to be playing another version of Cinderella, a new iteration, a character from a new book. This is probably the weirdest bit of information they could have ever revealed about Season 7. I figured that the 5 new actresses that they cast would all be playing different characters, not old versions of characters we've already seen. Now, Cinderella has already been on Once Upon a Time. She's been on Once Upon a Time essentially since Season 1. She was played by Jessie Sharam. And Jessie Sharam did a really, really good job as Cinderella. And she essentially was like the original Disney interpretation of it, along with their own twist and whatnot. But now they want to do Cinderella version 2. And I have to say, I do not want to see a Once Upon a Time go into a comic book multiverse, because multiverses get too complex. Now, a lot of you will be saying, well, Robert, on Once Upon a Time, we have 3 Ursulas. We have Regina's Ursula, we have Ursula, played by Maren Dougie, and we have Ursula the Goddess, who was voiced by Yvette Brown, I believe. So there have been multiple versions of one character before, but the kicker to this new Cinderella, played by Diana, is Cinderella is not from the original storybook, she's from a new one. So apparently, Henry is the author of the first book, which is, what seasons 1 through 6 are based off of, and now he's going to a new place, which is going to be Hyperion Heights. Hyperion Heights has been confirmed to be the new town, which essentially throws out all my theories that Hyperion Heights could introduce new characters such as the gods, because instead of getting new characters, apparently we're getting all old ones, which I just think is ridiculous, because like I said, I think doing a multiverse comic book type thing is very difficult, very convoluted, and you essentially then get what version of the character you like better, and then you try to mesh them together at some point. With comics is a huge thing, like what Earth is, what has the best Superman, etc. And with this, Henry is now going to a place where the happy ending is written. So I guess that means Henry can write up new versions of the characters. It's very odd to me that they would do that. It seems like, I would think, because they know their writing is slightly all over the place. They wrote a huge canon from seasons 1 to 6. It's a good canon for sure. It's a very diverse canon. It's a very widespread canon that allows for a lot of discussion such as this. But you'd think they would want to narrow it down and just introduce new characters, maybe wrap up some old storylines, but at the same time, give us new characters and give us a new story and give us a simple direction. But now Henry is going to be essentially a Prince Charming. Now, technically in Disney's canon, because Once Upon a Time, in a nutshell, is a Disney show, though based on fairy tale characters. Henry's grandfather, Prince Charming, is the prince from Snow White. Now, in Disney's canon, the prince is just called the prince. Well, Prince Charming is technically Cinderella's prince. So I guess Henry is now going to be that Prince Charming, even though we already had a Prince Charming as well. So now this is just very, very messy. It's a very messy canon, because we've already seen a Prince Charming on Once Upon a Time. Literally, the character of Charming was Snow White's prince. But then we saw Prince Thomas, who was, Prince Charming from Disney's Cinderella. So it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's going to be very messy. Now, one thing I do like about this is the possibility of having a second book, because you do get a second world, essentially. They're really new versions of the characters. It's not like it's opening up another parallel planet, but it is probably going to open up another parallel realm. But they already had a Wish realm, so why not just pull characters out of that instead of opening up another realm? Now it's going to be, the storybook version 2, which is literally what it is. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, during the Black Fairy's Curse, where, she was trying to remove all of Emma's faith and belief, would those characters have been affected? Or because they're not connected to that book, does it even matter? It's really, really weird. But my original point was, with having a new book, that means you can get different versions of maybe Zelina, the Wicked Witch, or another Ice Queen, such as a different version of Elsa. And that would be really good and bad, because there are characters I think people would like to see new versions of, but at the same time, I would prefer not to see them, because you don't want to see anyone else play the Wicked Witch besides Rebecca Mader, and you probably don't want to see anyone else play another Elsa or another Ice Queen by Georgina Hagg or Elizabeth Mitchell, because that's who you are essentially used to. So how curious are you to see Season 7? I really want to see a trailer now. I really need to see how they're going to, essentially show this plot. I just find it so weird that not only is Cinderella, now Henry's wife, because I have to say, in my 6 years of watching Once Upon a Time, I never thought that she's a mother, but Cinderella Once Upon a Time was already a mother, and now she's a mother to another main character. It's a very, very messy plot. So now I'm curious if these four now of these 5 new actresses are going to be playing, old characters version 2, or maybe they will actually be new characters. I'm really hoping for newer characters and having less versions of original characters, or having less versions. We don't need to see, 3 more different how do I say it? We don't need to see, another. We don't need to see another Emma. That would be really bad. Imagine if they do another Emma. We don't need to see another Captain Hook. Though I doubt they'll do Captain Hook, in version 2. But we just don't need to see, different iterations. We just need one concise canon, and that's really what I thought. That's where I think the problem is, because now that they're splitting it, they're going to have continuity issues. I think that's a major thing. Now, there is a quote from Adam Horowitz, Eddie Kitts, where it said, "New books could have different versions of the stories and ways of looking at them that we haven't seen before, maybe some new characters as well." It's just, essentially him saying it's time to open up Once Upon a Time a multiverse, and I don't agree with that. I think it just should have been new actresses playing new characters and Henry going on a mission to fight a new problem. We've discussed different possibilities. Once Upon a Time has characters they haven't touched, yet for some reason they choose to go back to characters that they've already done and we've already been attached to. So what do you guys think about this news? Are you excited that Once Upon a Time is going to essentially make a comic book realm and have new versions of characters we've already seen, or would you prefer to see new just new characters in general? Now, at the same time, this could be the only person that we see get a new iteration of, but because of that quote, we're going to be seeing different versions. I feel like we're going to be getting a lot of version 2. But there are maybe some new characters, and generally a maybe from him is, I don't really know if that's a yes or no. But it gives me a little bit of faith that there is, another character coming, possibly Kida, Esmeralda. That would be really cool. But I'm torn on this because I think the idea of splitting it is really convoluted, but I really want to see where it's going to go, because it's really, really piqued my curiosity, but I really hope it's done well and respectfully, and just it's done in a way that will make sure that we acknowledge that there's there's 2 blatantly different Cinderellas, and now this is just the one we're going to be focusing on. So anyway, share your thoughts about it in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning into my announced video about it. I'm sorry it came out a little bit later than it did yesterday, but I thought the news was supposed to be up by 4:30, and I was at an Ed Sheeran concert. So anyway, we'll talk real soon. All right, guys.